Hello, I'm joined by Patrick Boyle, co-founder of the Panama Fund, a quantitative hedge fund, and we're going to talk a little about real options. So, Patrick, could you describe some real options to me?
Sure. Well, real options is a methodology that's used to take sort of finance theory, like the pricing methods used for financial options, and try and use them to price, decisions that are based on an underlying that's not a financial market's underlying.
So can you give us some examples?
So an example would be, we'll say, a business who might be discussing or analyzing whether they're going to build a new factory, for example, and so there are many moving parts to that, rather than that maybe an NPV valuation wouldn't assess perfectly, and so you can use this type of method to take into account all of the decisions that can be made at various points during the building and the bringing online of that new facility.
Right. What sort of decisions would you incorporate into
Well,
analysis?
for example, even an NPV analysis wouldn't take into account something like the ability to halfway through a project decide to pause it and to take it up again. So for example, that kind of thing might happen a lot in, we'll say, the pharmaceutical or the oil business, where, we'll say a fall in the price of oil might cause a business who were, we'll say, planning an expansion that involved multiple investments to maybe hold off for a year or two on the next stage.
And how does this sort of methodology relate to the, more straightforward part of financial options?
Well, it uses the same pricing methodology, and you have to then come up with a volatility for the underlying project, which is, of course, the difficult part of real options, but equally that's the difficult part of, regular financial options.
Yeah. The sort of mistakes you can make, they could be important to the project.
They could be, and that's, I guess often in the class I teach at Queen Mary, I often try to emphasize to students that, financial mathematics is important and interesting, and they give us a great frameworks for analysis, but there is always that sort of garbage in, garbage out problem with really any modeling. And it will apply with real options, just like almost any financial analysis you'll do.
So why use real options at all if they are, vulnerable to these sorts of errors?
Well, it's a useful method in that it requires you to analyze your decisions using a framework where you have to put forth all of the assumptions that you're making, and so apart from the fact that it can theoretically be used to decide whether a project is worthwhile following up on or not, it also requires that you put your assumptions forth and therefore kind of analyze them, rather than just sort of saying, I think we should go ahead with this project because I like the feel of it.
Yeah. So I guess there's a lot of forecasting. It's probably going to be wrong, but it's better than the alternative.
Yes, yeah, and it I guess just analyzes the problem from a different angle, and so maybe these, I guess, the variety of approaches that exist probably on their own have many flaws, but once you use a few approaches, you can at least then you've analyzed the problem from a number of perspectives and maybe have a better understanding of what it is you're doing and why you're making the decision you're making.
Okay, well, thanks, Patrick.